as the founder of the business, when do you know when to close the business? So for example, you've set up this business and like, when is it like, no, this is a bad idea, shut down? I feel like there are too many failure businesses still operating open. Or and I don't want to hate on them and just say no, I'm not sure about this. When should you be like, okay, call it quits?
There's a book I read called Hope is Not a Strategy. Very interesting insights in that book. Yeah, there's
hope is not a strategy, but hope is so crucial for business, isn't it?
No, it's crucial, but it's not a strategy.
Yeah,
That's the truth. It's not a strategy. You can't eat hope, right? Even biblically, hope sandwiches faith and love. You know, it hangs on to something. It has to. It's a very important ingredient, extremely important. But at some point, it has to turn into tangible results, right? Even the Bible says hope deferred makes the heart weak. It can cause someone to faint when something just is always looking like it's there and it's just never there.
Not making it.
I've been there, Richard. I've been there. And so you ask a very important question. There's certain fundamental things someone has to say to themselves. There's some things you have to look yourself in the mirror and just say, let's have a conversation with me, right? It's not making sense. It's taking up all my savings. It's finishing the money. It seems to be digging a deeper hole. I can't find investors. I'm funding the business constantly. It's never funding me. It's been X amount of time. It's causing me extreme pain with my spouse. I work for my business, right? I go to work. It's a part-time thing, but it's the one eating everything. Just lay it down. Because I'll tell you, some businesses can take 4 years to make a profit. But depending on the strategy of what you decided to do from a funding perspective, it has money coming in to help it run, right? You can't survive on a perpetually loss-making business.
Perpetually, I like that.
Perpetually loss-making, no matter what you do. You also can't survive on a business whose fundamentals are constantly on a perpetual string of fundraising, especially when you're not fundraising properly. So you keep raising less than what you need, and you're back to raising. Now, to do the unicorn, you're constantly on a fundraising perspective, Series A, Series B. By the time you're done with pre-series, it's time to start Series A. It's time to start Series B, but you have a plan. I'm talking about that bakery where you just literally are borrowing money to pay salaries every month for the next 3 years.
And the business is not even making the money too.
It's not making the money. So what is it you're going to do different? So you must have those fundamental conversations with yourself. Is this just passion? You know, I go for some talks and I hear people being motivated so hard. I'm in that line of speaking to people, but I'm careful. You know, you can't motivate me to be a good businessman. I'm either good or I'm not. You know what I mean? You can't pump me up and say, don't worry, it's going to work. I come from a school of thought where I think it's time, sometimes you have to have an honest conversation with you. No, it's not going to work. No, it's not going to work. This business is dead. And how do I know? How long have I had to self-fund? How long have I looked for investors and they're not coming? How long do I... And sometimes it's good to also decide, let me park it for now, to see where we are a year from now while I try and rework and rethink my strategy. Sometimes that tension in a business comes so that you pivot. Pivoting meaning change direction completely. What you thought you were going to do, it's not working. And so you have to be on your... I told you when we started, the very powerful thing that can happen to someone is reaching a point of self-awareness. And self-awareness is where you have to be frank enough with yourself to say that the prodigal son in the Bible, he came to his senses after a lot of struggle. He came to his senses. There's a moment you have to come to your senses and say, I don't think this is working. I don't think I was cut out to be a businessman. Let me go get a career. In fact, I've stopped encouraging people to be entrepreneurs. I'm seeing people having entrepreneurial classes. Entrepreneurs are... Have you ever met someone they have a farmer's hand? Yeah, entrepreneurship is like that. You have to have the hand for it.
I love that you've gone into this place. Explain what it is, because what have you, and this one I want to hear from your experience. What has being an entrepreneur meant to you or done to you?
Yeah. Let me ask you, Richard, you long time ago were involved in music. Do you think you are an exceptionally good singer?
I think I was good.
Or were you a good rapper?
No, I mean good rapper. Definitely not a singer. Definitely not a singer.
Yeah. That's entrepreneurship. Just know your lane. Just know your lane. And the earlier you just get to accept it, the better. There are things you can't fake. You can't fake it. I've come to accept it. I know in entrepreneurship what my strength is. I know that I'm not sure I'm the best administrator, but I know I'm a pretty darn good innovator. I know how to put the pieces together and bring a business out, but I'm constantly looking for my right-hand person who's a very good administrator. Because if you don't know your blind spot, if you don't have self-awareness, you can't pump yourself up about your weaknesses. You will mess people's money. You'll burn a lot of bridges. And some of this stuff is extremely unforgiving. You know, this is life. It's not a rehearsal.
Yep.
When you take people's money, it's expected to work. It's expected to work for them. Yes, it can go wrong. Yes, things can happen. Yes, there are risks. Yes, things can morph into what you never imagined. But if you know you did your very best with that awareness, then it's important. So you've been a career person all your life. That's what is so good. You're so good at it. And one day you wake up and you want to be an entrepreneur because you attended an entrepreneurial class. It could work, but it will shock the living daylights out of you. I've seen that movie quite a few times. 4 or 5 parts of that movie.
Kwa ground vitu ni different.
It's different. Hey, it's different.
The difference between theory and practical.
Yeah, and sometimes you may want to come and handle or take over the business when it's at career type of stage. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like you've allowed the entrepreneur to do the hard groundwork. Then you come and continue at the point where it feels like a career type of, I need to have important meetings there. But let the right people till the ground, and let the right people plant the seeds, and let the right people prune the fruit, prune the trees. If you are gifted to be all those things, well done. But very few people have that. Very few. I was humbled enough to be in a room where we are selected about 3 businessmen from the world to go have a very serious session with Bill Gates. And the people in the room that were talking to him, man, I was so confused. Because those guys were completely confident in their subject matter and they did not care that they're talking to Bill Gates. They were telling him like it is. That, the problem with you is you're arrogant. You're just a guy who... I was sitting there saying, oh my God, I can't imagine this conversation with an African entrepreneur, an African billionaire. What did you say? He was there taking it all. I don't think it's going to work. It sounds stupid. It's not thought through properly. What's wrong with you, Bill? I'm like, wow. The maturity of conversation I was hearing in that room, I admired it, I'm like, I don't know, sometimes I've been told by people who've worked near me I'm a bit intimidating in the office, I'm like, I want to be like that. I want you to talk to me like that. Just be bold, call it out. I have tough skin. Tell me what you want to tell me. I'm very careful not to take this madness home. Sometimes my wife says I'm very soft. I'm like, yeah, you want this side. You want this side of me, because
the other side can take a beating. And it's taken time, but I can take a boardroom beating. I can, and wake up the next day and go for lunch with that person. I'm easy. I've had people who've told me, I think the idea you're building, you stole my idea. I can have lunch with that person and say, okay, let's have this conversation. What do you, it's down to execution. How did I execute? How did you execute? What is the issue? You'll find all manner of. Just be an entrepreneur, man. It's like putting your face out every day for people to slap and for you to say thank you. Boss. I love it. Let me ask. There's something.
I don't know if I answered your question.
You've answered it. No, it's okay. What you've done is paint a picture that it's not rosy and it's not textbook and it's not theory.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff that you will only learn in the practical.
Yeah.
Now let me ask this: as somebody who's built. You're the one who started in the trenches. You are the entrepreneur. You're the one who, you built that thing, that mad hat with your own hands. You get, when is it time for you to know that you are becoming the hindrance to the growth of the business? When do you stop being Mr. Know-it-all